Yeah, hey, it's Phil coming at you again, man. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'm definitely appreciating that. Yeah, we're working really hard trying to get this 204R back together so we can get it in and get it together for sure. This time we're going to work on the case itself, right? We've already got that pump built. So what we're going to do is clean it up really good. I'm going to show you some tips and techniques. We're going to pull out some seals and replace a new seal, especially the shaft seal, man. You messed that up and you're gonna have fluid leaks and you're gonna be kicking me. No, you're gonna be kicking yourself, man. Yeah, I got a great tip for you. Show you how to do it, and there's actually a special tool. I'll show you what the tool that I use for it as well. Also, your extension housing, right, the tail shaft housing, whatever you want to call it, there's a seal there. I'll show you a little tip so that you don't get a leak out of there. And there's also a bushing. Got to make sure you get that bushing in, because once you get that output shaft in there, you need like a gazillion-dollar tool to actually rip it out, because the output shaft is in there, and to get a new one in, and believe me, you don't want to screw that up. I'll show you how to do that as well. I'm also going to show you some tips and techniques I'm using to clean it up, what types of chemicals I'm using, for example, and different tools. I also got a special technique for cleaning up really small stuff, your different screws and bolts and all that kind of thing. I know it seems like common sense, but trust me, it's not necessarily common sense, and maybe you'll pick up a tip. Again, we'll get the case all prepped, and then we'll be ready to go, actually, and we'll be moving forward on the next time for sure. Before we chase the thread holes, I like to use just an engine brush kit. Brushes and just chase them out. This one's just a simple Harbor Freight one, and what I like to use is the brass brushes. That kit just comes with a simple handle and a bunch of brass brushes. I prefer the brass, or if you want the nylon ones. Don't use the metal, or I don't know if that's steel or stainless or whatever it is. Again, you're working with aluminum on the transmission, so you want to use a metal that's not going to damage the threads. So again, I prefer the brass. And what we'll do is fit them through the holes, again, just to clean out any dirt and any crap that's already in there. And then we'll use our thread restorer kit, and I'll show you what that is in a second. This is the thread restorer kit. Again, you can find it Lang, K-Star, that kind of thing. Or if you're really fancy, you can buy the same thing off of Snap-on, Matco, whatever. But anyway, notice it's a thread restorer. So it's actually not a tap. Could you use a tap set? I guess you could, but again, if you're rethreading, I prefer to use something like this. Hey, how about taking a second, like and subscribe, huh? Come on, show some love. So take your M8 by 1.25 thread restorer and give it a little shot of transmission fluid. Any oil is good, but as long as we're in the transmission, we might as well be using some transmission fluid. Get it started in the hole. I like using just a nut driver, long nut driver. This one's a 12 millimeter. And get her on there. And again, make sure she goes down there nice and smooth. Want to make sure our threads are good and all's well. Then to spin it out, doing it this way. Yanking it out. And again, it's a good practice to keep hitting all of them. Should probably clean off the old one. Hit them all. It's also a good time as well, M8 1.25, chase all the threads. Again, lube it up with some tranny fluid first, for example. Just go ahead and chase them all down. Again, these are where your pan bolts, they always get dirt and garbage into them, unless you got a professional cleaner where you can put your case in it, then you might be good, but I don't. I'm just using a pressure washer, hose washer, all that kind of stuff, and I'm doing it manually. The same thing with your governor holes, right, and all the other holes in your case, if you so desire. Go ahead and use your thread restore. Again, I usually don't do these holes. I usually just do the front pump holes because those tend to get some dirt into them. And I also do the pan bolt holes, again, because those also get dirt. In theory, all these inside here are relatively clean, unless you've totaled out your tranny and you got metal parts and crap running all through them. Then again, use your judgment and chase them if you think it's best. Again, I didn't have that situation, so I'm not going to chase these, just the pans and just the front pump holes. Go ahead and get this speedometer out there. Yeah, I know I'm killing it, wrenching on the threads, but that baby was in way too tight for me to save it. Now she's out. Again, I killed it, putting the vice grips on there. Looks like I'm going to be buying a brand new bullet, but the port itself is just fine. Well, as you saw there, I destroyed the bullets. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Mine was super tight, and in reality, I was going to get a different one anyway, so no such thing excuses. But again, be careful taking yours off if you want. Don't use vice grips, obviously. Maybe put a nut or something on that side. But anyway, I got a new one off of eBay, just a new bullet, and you can see it comes with the new part that locks it in place as well, along with a new screw, and of course the seals, right? One is the O-ring, which goes around there, and the other, of course, is the seal that goes in there. And again, the speedometer gear will reuse out of the other one, unless I change the rear tire gears. I'm not sure which direction I'm going with that, but then we'd have to change that gear as well, so our speedometer would still work. Notice right down here we have our vent tube. The vent tube goes down all the way through right here. Through here. Our piece has broken off. This is the vent tube that normally comes out of here. Ours has broken off. So what I'm going to do is get the old one out, and then we'll prepare and put a new one in. All right, to get that out of there, the best way is to take a punch and drive it down through. What we're gonna do is take a 3/16 inch punch, and that fits nicely into the hole, and then we'll just drive it through. And as you can see, it pops right out of there. And again, we'll put a new one in from the inside going out. So again, it'll push right through with a 3/16 inch punch. We're going to replace our vent tube. It goes in the same exact way that it came out. Obviously on this side, there's the part that sticks in, and this part right here comes out your vent. I'm a factory kind of guy, so whenever I can, I like to use the factory parts. And you can see that's the AC Delco part number right there. So again, it's like, I don't know, I got this one off of Rock Auto. Amazon also has it, but again, what are you talking, $1, $2, $3? Just change the thing. Hey, how about taking a second, like and subscribe, huh? Come on, show some love. Next up, we want to remove our 4-pin case connector. That, of course, runs on the outside of the case, and it comes through to the inside. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 prongs and a bottom one. The easiest way to remove that is with, yeah, I know, Craftsman fanboy, 3/4 inch wrench. Put it around those prongs there. See if I can do this without blocking the camera. And then go ahead and turn the wrench and pull this at the same time. And you can see she pops right out of there. So again, the 3/4 inch wrench is the key there. And the 4-pin connector that we took out, we're going to go ahead and change that. I'm going to use a single 1-pin connector. I'll show you how to do the lockup stuff when we get to it. And again, I don't need the 4 pins. I'm just going to use a single pin one. It's actually made for a TH400 transmission. They had the same thing except in a single pin, and it'll fit like a glove along with the O-ring. But again, when we get to that point, I'll show you how to do the lockup circuit and how to change from that 4 over to a 1. Next, let's go ahead and remove our rear seal, rear extension housing seal, I guess. What I'll use for this is just a basic seal puller. I think it's a Lyle tool. Anyway, there's 2 tips to it. As you can see, there's a long tip and there's a short tip. I usually take the short tip and go underneath the seal and then pry up with it. Don't go so deep where you're scratching into the transmission housing, of course. So what you want to do is just grab the edge of the seal, get it on there like so, and then you're going to push it in this direction. And she should pop out. Just like so. And you can see this one has already been replaced once because there's RTV around it, which I don't think the factory would use. Next up is the extension housing bushing here, the tail housing bushing. Notice that it's flush with the end. What we're going to do is measure which bushing drivers we need, and then we'll push it straight out and then push a new one in. We're going to replace our bushing with a Teflon bushing, and the dimensions on this one are, let's see, just about 42 millimeters on the outside for our custom bushing driver tool. And let's see the inside. We should be safe with a 38 millimeter driver. So we'll do a 38 and a 42. Let's go to our custom eBay bushing driver setup tools. And again, the outside diameter we're looking for is a 42. So what we'll use is one size smaller because we want to drive it through the housing, right? We want it to go down there. So we'll use a 41 for our outside, and we'll use a 38. Make sure it fits on the inside. And this one, obviously, we're going to have to use a hammer with because we can't put it into a press. So we'll just attach our extension onto the drivers and go at it. All right, so I'll go ahead and press that bushing out. So you can see I have the 41 and the 38 set up onto our custom tool. And that should make it easy to drive through. Just go ahead and take my little mini sledgehammer and make sure we're lined up properly. And just go ahead and drive it straight out. And she's almost there. And you could see she fell straight through. So again, fits right on there. Nice. And again, it's a really useful tool. Highly recommend it. Look on eBay, custom bushing driver, and you can make all kinds of custom sets. Now again, what I want to do is replace my 41 millimeter driver with the 42 so that I won't be able to fit through the hole, because I don't want to go all the way through the hole. I just want to end up being just about flush with that bottom. So let's rebuild it with a 42 and a 38. Let's go ahead and knock our new bushing in. Again, we're using a 42 and a 38 for our bushing driver. Make sure you're nice and centered on there. Most important thing is to get this baby to go in straight, and then we're home free. Get her centered on there. A couple taps to get her started. And once she gets started, it becomes much easier to go in there. Again, some people will put Loctite, others will not. I'm not going to put Loctite onto this one. We'll just drive her home. Couple more hits. And she is looking good. Solid. Next up, we want to put our rear seal in. This is a 37, right? 37 fits nicely on the inside. And the outside is a 65. As you can see, that fits nicely on the outside. And again, we'll use our long handle for our custom bushing driver set. Again, highly recommended. Look on eBay, they're all over the place, like 50 bucks. Again, not just for trannies, for anything you're using a bushing driver, very money well spent. With the rear seal, sometimes you get a leak, and replacing this out in the field when you got the output shaft sticking out is a royal pain in the butt, especially the bushing. What I like to do is apply some black RTV right around the lip over here, all the way around. Again, getting mostly this surface here, all the way around, a very thin layer. And usually what I'll use is just the, the Permatex Ultra Black RTV. I find it works good, and honestly, I just have a lot of it. Just applied a thin layer around our seal. And again, the purpose is just to stop it from potentially leaking oil around the outside. Because again, it's a pain in the butt to replace with the output shaft sticking through. Again, we're using our custom driver and put it onto our seal. And let's go ahead and whack it on there. See if I don't block our camera here. And there she is. Good. And applied. By the way, with the XS RTV, I like to run my finger around it. Again, this ensures a good leak-free seal. And of course, no RTV down the hole. That would be bad. So again, just around the outside, and we should be leak-free for years and years and years to come. Hey, how about taking a second, like and subscribe, huh? Come on, show some love. When she's sitting around, I like to put one of these transmission plastic end cap pieces into it. It's really good when the transmission's stuffed and you haven't yet taken it apart, so all your fluid doesn't leak out, but it just fits in the rear extension like so. And again, it'll keep the dust out, and if it's still stuffed and still has fluid and whatever, and you have the transmission flipped over, it'll prevent the fluid from leaking out all over your floor. But again, it's just eBay, Amazon, maybe even Harbor Freight. I don't know if Harbor Freight has that anymore, but I bought it so long ago, who knows, but it should be common. And next up, let's replace our shift seal. What we want to do is take this nut off, and that'll pull our linkage off, and we'll find the seal is actually in there. To get that off, we'll just use a 15 millimeter. Yeah, I know, Craftsman, fanboy, yada, yada, yada. 15 millimeter socket on there. Let's see if I'm not blocking your vision there. Go ahead and take that off. Notice she is really dirty, so I want to take a second and clean her up. Next up, we're going to remove our shaft seal. You can hopefully see that inside of there, all the way down in there. And we're going to replace that with a new one. To do that, we'll use a special tool. This is like $20 on eBay. What it is, essentially it's a screw inside, and we take this piece, and what we'll do is drive the threaded part onto there, and then we'll turn it with a wrench, and then we'll take that screw and we'll tighten it into the end. And what that's going to do is push the screw through here, and we're going to be locked into the seal, and we're going to pull the seal out that way. So again, just line it up. Push it in while turning. Then what you want to use is a 5/8 wrench. Once it's on there. Couple turns. Get her in there until she bottoms out. And then what we do is take the screw, till she bottoms. Then we'll take a 9/16, and that should pull her right out. You can feel it coming out. And there she is. So again, very simple tool to use to remove our seal. Now what you want to be careful of, the surface around here, you want to make sure that there's no scratches or rust or whatever. That's a very common place to build rust. So what I do is I'll take a needle file just from my cheap $1 needle file Harbor Freight garbage junk, and probably wasn't $1, but it was probably darn cheap. And I just go around it, breaking off any high spots, making sure that it's in great condition and that it's not going to scratch our seal. Next thing we'll do, we'll take our new seal out of our kit, and we're going to apply it. The tool also comes with an installer. It's basically like a socket looking kind of thing. Big hole in the middle, that's going to fit over our shaft, and we're just going to drive our seal in like so. Make sure to apply some lube also. You definitely don't want to get hung up on there. And there's nothing wrong with a nice lube surface, again, for our dry seal. I also lubed up the inside of that. Go ahead and put her on there. Again, being very careful. You can see the seal, the metal side goes to the out, and the rubber side goes to the in. Get her on there very carefully. And once you get her sitting there, what you want to do is take your tool and a couple good whacks with a hammer, getting her all lined up. There she is, nice and installed. When it bottoms out, you can tell the change of pitch, so it's good. Lastly, go ahead and put your shifter linkage, shifter control rod, I don't know what you call that, back on. We're probably not going to use it because, again, this came off a Monte Carlo SS, but yeah, as long as we got it, might as well put it back on. Maybe we will use it. Cleaning the case, I like to use Simple Green, the purple one. It's Simple Green Pro HD heavy duty cleaner. It's basically the same chemical as the Aerojet cleaner, the Simple Green Aerojet cleaner that's made for aluminum. You'll see that usually it's more expensive. This stuff, the benefit is it's sold at your local Home Depot and Lowe's, and it's usually cheaper. The only difference, if you look at the safety data sheets, the SDS sheets, this one has a purple dye, I guess, to compete with a different product, and the aerospace version, or the Simple Green aerospace cleaner, doesn't have it. They're both safe for aluminum, which I think is the key. So again, you're working with aluminum. You don't want to use regular Simple Green, the green stuff, because what's that going to do is turn your aluminum actually like a black. I don't know if that harms it, but again, this stuff is safe for aluminum, and it works really, really good. So even when we're cleaning the parts on the inside, I'll show you, we're going to use that as well. But that stuff's great to clean up the case and anything you're working with that happens to be aluminum.